Hello guys, welcome to Cinema Ultimate. In this video, I will show you an action movie, Olympus Has Fallen, 2013. The film is directed by Antoine Fuqua and starring Gerard Butler, Eckhart, Morgan Freeman. This film tells the story of the fall of the United States White House when an agent of America's best state guard is fired for failing to save the president's wife. However, he was forced to return to the White House to protect the president because of an unidentified attack. What's next? Here's a recap of the film Olympus Has Fallen, 2013. The film begins at the residence of the President of America at night. President Benjamin Asher is exercising boxing with his bodyguard, Mike Banning. Mike is the head of the Presidential Guard, and he is very close to the President and his family. Soon another bodyguard named Dave Forbes arrived. He reminded the President that there would be a fundraising event that the President had to attend in a few moments. And then, President Asher and his family prepared to leave for the event. His wife's name was Margaret, and his son's name was Connor Asher. They went with a group of presidential guards. President Asher was in a car with his wife, while Mike was in a car with the President's son, Connor. At that time, the travel situation was not good because of the snow season. Moments later, suddenly, an incident occurred which caused the President's car to fall off the bridge. Before falling, his car skidded and got stuck on a bridge. The President was not injured, but his wife was seriously injured, and it wasn't easy to get out of the vehicle. President Asher asked some of his bodyguards to save his wife first. However, due to the impossible conditions to save the two, Mike only decides to save the President. Finally, the President's car crashed with his wife still in it, so President Asher's wife was killed in the incident. 18 months later, Mike is seen starting his morning activities. He returned with his own life even though the incident still haunts him. Before work, he chats with his boss named Jacobs at a cafe. And then he meets his old friends as bodyguards for the President. It turns out Mike is no longer working as a bodyguard for the President because he is considered to have failed to protect the President. He was transferred to the Treasury, not far from the White House. In the next scene, at the White House, Washington, D.C., President Asher held a meeting with the Prime Minister of South Korea, Mr. Lee. He came with his chief bodyguard, Mr. Park, and some of his staff. They entered the White House and began their meeting with the President of the United States and some of his ministers. During the meeting, Mr. Lee discussed the North Korean state, which continues to enter their border without permission. They discussed it to take action together. On the other hand, an unidentified aircraft enters America's no-fly zone. The plane was chased by two American military jets to give a stern warning. However, unexpectedly the foreign aircraft actually issued its sophisticated weapons. They attacked the two military jets until they exploded. And finally, the two military jets crashed. Knowing this, the presidential guards rushed to protect President Asher and brought all the meeting participants to immediately enter the bunker at the White House. Meanwhile, the building guards immediately rushed to take out their weapons and get ready outside the building for the next terror attack. Moments later, a foreign plane began to approach the White House in Washington, D.C. The plane quickly opened fire on the civilians in the vicinity of the White House. Mike accidentally saw the foreign plane. And then, he rushed to the White House to confirm the situation. He realized that something was wrong at the White House. He saw the foreign plane approaching the White House and shooting at the guards in the vicinity of the White House, causing many guards to be killed. Soon the foreign plane was attacked by one of the military jets until the foreign plane was successfully disabled. The unidentified plane exploded and crashed into the Washington, D.C. monument, causing the monument to shatter and fall on several people nearby. Then Mike, who was there, was immediately shocked by the explosion of the city bus that was around. Then he saw the movement of a group of people who deliberately blew themselves up in front of the gates of the White House. They looked like terrorists trying to infiltrate the White House. Mike, who saw him quickly fight them with the gun in front, tried to enter the White House. However, the courtyard of the building was pelted with many bombs immediately by the terrorists. Not only that, but they also shot the guards very brutally. Mike tries to help the guards against the terrorists. After the White House gate was destroyed, a group of terrorists quickly entered the White House courtyard and opened fire on the presidential guards in the vicinity. Back to the bunker, where the President tries to contact the Pentagon and awaits information about the situation outside the White House. Moments later, suddenly, the South Korean guest attacked several people in the bunker. The head of the guard for the Prime Minister of South Korea, Mr. Park, is seen pointing his gun at President Asher. It turns out that Mr. Park is the mastermind behind the terrorist group, and unexpectedly, The head of the Presidential Guard, Forbes, is his accomplice. They had planned the incident very carefully. Meanwhile, a few guards were left outside the bunker trying to fight off the terrorists who had already entered the building. However, being outnumbered by the terrorists, they were killed, so the terrorists continued to enter the White House in just 72 hours. They quickly took control of the building despite military and police assistance starting to arrive in the vicinity of the White House. After they successfully entered the White House and held the American president and his ministers hostage, they contacted the Pentagon. Then Mr. Park suddenly killed his prime minister and was witnessed by the people at the Pentagon. He also held President Asher hostage with his ministers there. Then he asked America to withdraw its entire fleet from South Korea, including the American carrier. And he also asked American soldiers to remove from the White House. On the other hand, Mike Banning was already inside the White House. He saw that none of the White House guards were alive. All the guards were dead. The condition of the building looks destroyed due to attacks by terrorists. Mike began to strategize and rushed into the CCTV room to turn off all the cameras. In the bunker, Mr. Park ordered his men to find President Asher's son, who was still inside the White House. Meanwhile, Mike plans to get the president and other staff members out of the bunker. At the Pentagon, the U.S. spokesman, Alan Trumbull, has now been appointed interim president by the laws there to resolve the issue. Then Mike contacted the Pentagon to inform them that he was now the only troop still alive there. Although they had doubts about Mike, Jacobs tried to convince Alan until finally, they tried to believe in Mike because now he was the only hope they had to save the president. After they decide to trust Mike, Jacobs talks to him about the situation in the bunker. She tells him about what the terrorists want so that Mike can adjust his strategy. Back in the bunker, the terrorist leader, Park, asks the president and the minister about the Cerberus Code. The Cerberus Code is the code for controlling all of America's nukes. This code is divided into 3, where only the president and his 2 ministers know the code. President Asher is not an easy person to negotiate with them. However, when the Minister of Defense was about to be assassinated, the president was forced to share a code with the terrorists. The first nuclear code was successfully released. The Pentagon people who knew about it quickly contacted Mike to help them quickly. They asked Mike to immediately find the president's son, Connor, who is still in the building. Where Connor will be made a threat by the terrorists so that President Asher will open his mouth and mention the final nuclear code. However, unexpectedly when Mike began to act, Park and his men saw himself recorded on one of the CCTVs that were still active. Then Park asks Forbes to find Mike. And Forbes went looking for Mike's whereabouts. Without them knowing, Mike had moved faster to kill several terrorist members. Armed with a former presidential guard, he was able to control the location points inside the White House. He also quickly found the president's son, who turned out to be hiding behind the walls of the building. Mike quickly covered Connor and contacted the officers outside the building to pick him up immediately. And in the end, President Asher's son was saved. The Pentagon people who heard it now found some relief. Then Mike tries to find out who the terrorist mastermind is. While in the bunker, Park forces the presidential secretary named Ruth to provide the second Cerberus Code. Because she was tortured, the president finally ordered Ruth to give the code to Park, and only one code was left from President Asher. Outside, Forbes meets Mike, whom Mike still considers his old friend in the Presidential Guard. He thought that Forbes was also the only person still alive there. However, Mike became suspicious when Forbes mentioned the name of the terrorist mastermind. He quickly attacked Forbes before Forbes finished him off. Mike also found out that Forbes was involved in the crime. With his skills, Mike killed Forbes on the spot and took a bit of information in the bunker. At the Pentagon, the American military chief of staff was getting annoyed with Mike Banning's unfruitful actions for the president. Then he sent 5 Apache helicopters there. However, the head of the terrorists did not want just to stand still. Park ordered his men to attack them from the White House until the 5 helicopters exploded and fell. Mike also bounced due to the explosion. Park is furious and kills one of the president's ministers in the bunker. Then he asked for a helicopter for them to go from there. The people at the Pentagon were immediately shocked and decided to give them a helicopter. They also rushed to put headgear on those remaining in the bunker so that when they all came out later, the snipers could not tell them apart. And after they got into the helicopter and were ready to fly, suddenly the helicopter exploded. This shocked everyone because they thought the president was in the explosion helicopter. Alan and the people at the Pentagon thought President Asher was dead, so there was no hope. However, unexpectedly, the president and the head of the terrorist were still in the bunker. With various threats, the head of the terrorist managed to get the president's Cerberus Code. And he immediately activated the entire American nuclear code that would detonate everything. Then they hurried away from there. They blew up the back wall of the bunker to take the president and some of his men. Mike Banning, who was already annoyed by him, he quickly moved to finish them off until only the terrorist's head remained, Park. Finally, Mike stuck a knife in his head to kill Park instantly. Not only that, Mike rushed to deactivate the Cerberus code based on instructions from the Pentagon. As a result, he finally tamed the nuclear. He has saved Americans and the rest of the world from imminent danger. And then he rescued the president and rushed out of the White House. And the movie is over. Okay guys. If you like our channel, support us with subscribe and turn on the bell, like, comment, and share. So that you don't miss our next video and our channel can grow even more. See you guys.